Hello, good evening, everyone. So today our day one of our paper class. So if I'm telling you the structure of this class, my class එක කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියන එක ඔයගලන්ට කිව්වොත්, I will be discussing your reading paper like this. Now this is your reading paper for day one, and I will discuss the answers just like this. The question and from where we have got the answer and the explanation. This is how I normally do the reading explanation. And then listening part, this is your day one paper. I'm discussing the answers for this listening paper like this. මේ වගේ recording එකෙන් එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයගලන්ගේ transcript එකෙන් තමයි මම answer එක අරන් පෙන්නන්නේ කොතනින්ද ගත්තේ කියලා. And for speaking, this is your day one speaking. I'm sharing a sample answer like this. මම ඔයගොල්ලොත් එක්ක sample answer එකක් මේ වගේ discuss කරනවා. And then this is your writing task 2, your essay, and I'm discussing a sample essay with you in the class. Task 1 for general training and academic, I will be doing it offline. Task 1 එක වෙනමම කරන්නේ. And then every day, apart from the 4 papers, I'm discussing some tips with you and techniques. So today I'm talking about reading format and some important tips. ඊළඟට එන දවස්වල අපි discuss කරනවා question types. වෙන වෙනේව අරගෙන දවසකට දෙකක් තුනක් වගේ අරගෙන I'm discussing about the strategy. කොහොමද ඔයා ඒ වගේ question එකක් ආවොත් follow කරන්න ඕන? What is the step by step guidance? And I will be doing that for listening as well. Listening වලත් ඔක්කොම question types ටික අපි class එකේදී කොටස් වලට කඩලා discuss කරනවා. Apart from that, I will be discussing in the class about there are 5 different essay types. ඔගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා ඇති task 2 එකට එන essay එකේ question types පහක් තියෙනවා. ඒ පහ මම වෙන වෙනම දවස් පහකදී discuss කරනවා. Agree, disagree, advantages, disadvantages, ඒ වගේ පහක්. And then apart from that, I'm discussing about some speaking tips as well. Today I'm talking about the speaking test format. Then first day nisai මේ ටික කරන්නේ speaking වලදී do's and don'ts. ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්න ඕන දේවල්ුයි කරන්න ඕන නැති දේවල්. And then I'm discussing about some of the useful phrases like this. ඔය ටික තමයි දැන් අද අපේ plan එක. Okay. So without wasting time, we will start our reading practice test 1. මේකේ මම තව පොඩි දෙයක් කියන්න ඕන. මෙතන general training අයත් ඉන්නවා. හරි? So in the class, I normally discuss the techniques and question types by using academic papers. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඔයා general training කෙරුවා technique එක අල්ලගන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාලට academic papers වලින්. ඒ නිසා මම class එකේදී discuss කරන්නේ මේක. හැබැයි ඕගලන්ට මම වෙනමම papers 10ක් general training වලට මේ විදිහ explanation එකක් එක්ක මම වෙනමම 10ක් දෙනවා. හරි? So ඔයගලන්ට එතකොට full academic ඒවත් එක්ක 20ක් වෙනවා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම academic කරන්න ඕන papers. general කරන අයත් academic කරන්න, then you can go for a good band score. ඒක පොඩි tip එකක්. මොකද academic papers වලින් තමයි ඔයගලන්ට techniques අල්ලගන්න ලේසි. Okay. So without wasting time, let's start our reading practice test 1. Your passage 1 is about Australia's platypus. So let's see our question 1. Question 1 to 13, section 1. And question 1 to 5, we have, do the following statements reflect the claims of the writer? Yes, no, not given question එකක් තමයි අපිට මුලින්ම තියෙන්නේ question 1 to 5. සාමාන්‍ය yes, no, not given ඒවා ටිකක් tricky. මේකේ step by step guidance එක or the strategy I will be discussing in the class in near future. ඉස්සරහට එන recording sessions වලදී මම මේවා වෙන වෙනම කතා කරනවා. But for the moment, we will discuss about these questions and from where we have got the answer. Okay. තව පොඩි දෙයක් කියන්න ඕන. ඕගොල්ලෝ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම class එකට කලින් before I do the session, live session, I want you to do this full paper at home. Otherwise, no point. Yes, every day I'm sharing the recording as well because most of the paper class students are not attending the live sessions. ගොඩක් අය live sessions join වෙන්නේ නැහැ because of their work schedule and all. ඒ නිසා මම හැමදාම ඔයගලන්ට recording එක share කරනවා. Okay. So what I wanted to tell was before the live session. හරි live session එකට කලින් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම ඔයා මේ papers 4 කරන්නම ඕනේ. Otherwise no point. මම explain කරන එක අහන් හිටියා කියලා you can't go for a good band score. So I want you to do these papers first. අනිවාර්යෙන්ම ඊට පස්සේ මේ හැම paper එකකම යට answers දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ටික ඔයා mark කරගන්න ඕන. So first one අපි හිතමුකෝ no නේ තියෙන්නේ. So let's think you have marked it as yes. එතකොට ඔයා yes කියන එක වැරදි දාලා හරි උත්තරේ ඉස්සරහින් ලියා ගන්න ඕන. So that's how you should prepare for the paper before the live session. Papers කරන්න නැතුව නම් live sessions join වෙන්න එපා. කිසිම තේරුමක් නැහැ. එහෙම බැරි වෙලාවත් බැරි වුණොත් my advice is don't join the live session, do the paper first and then follow the recording later on. Okay. So question number 1. The appearance of the platypus caused experts to doubt it was real. The appearance of the platypus caused experts to doubt it was real. මේකේ අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් keywords තමයි experts, doubt, real. Experts, the same word is given here. I have taken this from the paragraph 1 and then it says doubt and doubt part hoax. Again, sure na කියන idea එක. So this is the place we have got the answer. Upon being discovered in Australia in the 1700s, sketches of this unusual creature were made and sent back to England, whereupon they were considered by experts to be a hoax. So here, looking at the sentence, sketches of this unusual creature were made and sent back to England, whereupon they were considered by experts to be hoax. Hoax means humorous or malicious deception. ඒ කියන්නේ අර නිකන් විහිළු figure එකක් වගේ like that. So that this sentence means that experts believed that platypus did not exist. Thus the answer is no. මෙතන කියන්නේ experts believe කරා කියන එකනේ. Sorry, doubt කරා කියන එකනේ. But අනිත් පැත්තේ කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ believe කරා කියන එක. So this should be no. Yes, no, not given questions වල හැම වෙලාවෙම මතක තියාගන්න for you to write no. Exactly the opposite meaning should be there. හරි? මේක yes නම් මේක no කියන idea එක තියෙන්න ඕන. එහෙම නැතුව no කියලා අපිට දෙන්න බෑ. So that's the tip for question number 1. Question number 2. The amount of venom in a male platypus changes during the year. Venom කියලා අපි කියන්නේ විෂ. දැන් ඔය snakes ලගේ cobra, viper ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන venom විෂ. During the breeding season. Breeding season means where they have babies. The amount of venom in the male platypus increases. So it says directly the same answer. It is yes. Looking at the sentence, during the breeding season, the amount of venom in the male platypus increases. This sentence mentioned that the amount of venom in the male platypus increases so that there are changes in the amount of venom. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම change එකක් වෙනවා කියන එක මෙතන කියලා තියෙනවා. Breeding season is a period of year, therefore the answer is yes. Third one, not given. Most platypus live in Eastern Australia. Platypus surveys have only been carried out in a few catchments in Eastern Australia. Platypus surveys have only been carried out in a few catchments in Eastern Australia. The question is that most platypus live in Eastern Australia. However, the passage only mentions that platypus surveys have been happened in Eastern Australia. No information that most platypus live here. Thus, the answer is not given. Surveys කෙරුවට platypus ලා Eastern Australia වල live. එහෙම නැත්නම් ජීවත් වෙනවා කියන එක මෙතන කියලා නැහැ. So because of that, our answer should be not given. Fourth one, snake venom and platypus venom are very similar. Here I have mentioned the place from where we have got it. And in the answers, most of the time I am mentioning which paragraph we have got this. Now fourth one, we have got it from the second and third paragraph. I normally mention like that. Okay. I believe you all are having printouts. If you are doing paper-based, please make sure that you take printouts and then go through the answers with me with the printout. Like the printout should be with you. Then only you will be able to find the place and then you can highlight it. Snake venom and platypus venom are very similar. Now, similar we have in two places. The same word similar is here in paragraph 2, and in paragraph 3 we have seen it like we have seen the word like, same meaning. The spur about 2 centimeters in length is quite similar to the fang of a snake. Give me 1 minute. Sorry about that. The spur about 2 centimeters in length is quite similar to the fang of a snake. Fang of a snake means ඔගොල්ලෝ දැකලා ඇති අර snakes ලගේ දෙපැත්තේ තියෙන දල දෙකක් වගේ, that one. If provoked is used as a means of defense. The eggs are 15 to 18 millimeters long and have a whitish papery shell like those of lizards and snakes. මෙතන දැන් similar කියන meaning එක තැන් දෙකක අපිට හම්බ වෙනවා. Now here it talks about venom. But in these places it doesn't talk about venom. It talks about fangs and the shapes of the eggs. So our answer should be not given. Fifth one. Because the environment is specialized, platypus cannot be kept as pets. Because the environment is specialized, platypus cannot be kept as pets. So similar words in the passage. We have taken this part from this passage. Platypus are wild animals with specialized living requirements. Specialized. Environment is specialized. Here it's mentioned as specialized living requirements. Same meaning. It is illegal for members of the public to keep them in captivity. Captivity means you keep them as pets. So it is yes. The same meaning is given. Question number 6 to 9. Complete the summary. This is a summary completion question. Question number 6 to 9. For example, on the hind feet, the male has a blank. For example, on the hind feet, the male has a blank. Now look at this part. The male platypus has a sharply pointed movable spur on its hind foot, which delivers a poison capable of killing smaller animals and causing severe pain to humans. Movable spur. Male has a movable spur. This is the place we have taken the answer. The male platypus has a sharply pointed movable spur on its hind foot. Look at this question. For example, on the hind foot, the male has a. So here it's mentioned like movable spur. So your answer is that. Seventh one. Now, when you are doing questions like this, always make sure that you highlight the word count. Word limit එක අනිවාර්යෙන් highlight කරගන්න ඕන. The මෙතන තියෙන no more than 3 words. But if you have no more than 1 word, you can't write like this. මේ වගේ වචන දෙකක් ලියන්න බෑ 1 word තිබුණොත්. So make sure that you pay attention for that as well. Question number 7. For example, on the hind feet, the male has a movable spur, while the young female has. While the young female has poisonous spur, the female platypus only develops 2 buds, while the young female has 2 buds. The female platypus only develops 2 buds. Eighth one. In the blank, the mother keeps her eggs warm. In the blank, the mother keeps her eggs warm. The mother is believed to keep the eggs warm by placing them between her lower belly and curled up tail for a period of about 10 or 11 days as she rests in an underground nest. So your answer should be nest. If you want, you can write the word underground as well. Underground කියලා ලිව්වත් වැරද්දක් නැහැ. Question number 9. Once born supplies her blank. Once born supplies her blank. The baby platypus drinks a rich milk which is secreted from two round patches of skin midway along the mother's bell. The baby platypus drinks a rich milk. Once born supplies her. Amma මොනවද යාට supply කරන්නේ? So your answer should be milk or rich milk. Question number 10 to 13. Complete the sentences below with words taken from reading passage 1. Use no more than 3 words for each answer. Write your answers in boxes 10 to 13 in your answer sheet. Complete the sentences. Now question number 10 to 13, we have sentence completion questions. Okay. Question number 10. Even though the platypus is not endangered, it is considered blank. Even though the platypus is not endangered, it is considered blank. In Australia, the platypus is officially classified as common but vulnerable. Megana lazy kelimma dila tiyenawa. So you can write three words. So the same answer you can write. Question number 11. Platypus numbers in blank areas have declined in many catchments. Platypus numbers in blank areas have declined in many catchments. Platypus populations are believed to have declined or disappeared in many catchments, particularly in urban and agricultural landscape. Platypus numbers in blank areas. So here it's mentioned, particularly in urban and agricultural landscape. Areas කියන එකට common word එකක්, synonym එකක් landscapes. So your answer should be urban and agricultural. Question number 12. Platypus numbers are low, which is probably due to a lack of blank. Platypus numbers are low, which is probably due to a lack of blank. It is believed that their numbers are most often limited by the availability of food. Lack of limited. Lack of food limited by the availability of food. Question number 13. Platypus captivity for research and study purposes requires a platypus captivity for research and study purposes requires. Platypus lava research වලටයි study purpose ගන්නයි මොනවාද ඕන වෙන්නේ? Only a small number of Australian zoos and universities hold a permit to maintain platypus in captivity for legitimate display or research purpose. Permit. Universities hold a permit to maintain platypus in captivity for legitimate display or research purpose. And with that note, we are moving on to our second paragraph. Question number 14th to 18th. Reading passage 2 has 6 paragraphs, A to F. Choose the correct heading for each paragraph from the list of headings below. Now this is a matching heading question. Question 14th to 18th, we have matching headings like this. So for paragraph A, they have given the answer 8. 14th to 18th, we have find our answers. Fourteenth one, monitoring the effects of sleep deprivation. Monitoring the effects of sleep deprivation or deprivation. Our answer is answer 5. Let's see from where we got this answer. Paragraph B. The first experiments in recorded scientific history on the effects of people not getting enough sleep took place in the late 1800s. Not getting enough sleep කියන එකට synonym එකක් sleep deprivation. So it is mentioned in paragraph B. Our answer should be answer 5. 15th one. Sleep experiments in an isolated area. Studies of sleep patterns in some of the more remote areas, isolated areas, remote areas of the world have also been a subject of interest amongst sleep researchers. So we have got this in paragraph D, answer 10. 16. The impact of noise on sleep. Impact කියලා කියන්නේ බලපෑම. The effect of sleep interruptions. Interruptions means බාධාවල් මොන හරි දුෂ්කරතා. Have also been a focal point of some sleep research. In urban societies, traffic and aircraft noise are often referred to as the ban of urban existence. So we have taken this paragraph D, question number 9. 17th one, challenging research in reduced normal sleeping hours. So this is the place we have taken the answer. A short sleeper is one who claims to be able to get by with only 4 or 5 hours of sleep per night. Determining what makes up the differences between short and long sleepers has been difficult for researchers. So this idea is mentioned here. Your answer should be 7. 18th one. Research into short periods of sleep. A study in Norway was undertaken on a number of bus drivers. What the drivers were having was a series of micro sleeps, short periods of time of 10 to 20 seconds, where they would be classified as being asleep. From connections stated above, we can conclude that paragraph F contains the information. Thus, the answer is F. Answer 1. Question number 19 to 23. Look at the following list of statements and the list of people below. Match each statement with the correct company. Now, they have given 4 names of researchers, and question 19 to 23, we have some statements. We have to match these people with these statements. "19. People need to increase their average amount of sleep. People need to increase their average amount of sleep." Let's see, it is mentioned in B. Professor Stanley Limpton believes that 7 hours, the average amount of sleep most people get per night, is not enough. Here it's mentioned people need to increase their average amount of sleep. So the same idea is being told by Stanley Limpton. Answer B. 20th one, Extended periods of no sleep causes serious health problems. As the length of sleep deprivation increases, so too does the mental decline in an individual. Having studied a group of 3 sleep-deprived people, sleep researcher Dr. Tim Oswald concluded that chronic sleep deprivation often leads to drastic consequences. Serious health problems, drastic consequences, and mental decline. So it is Tim Oswald, C. 21. Some need more sleep and others seem to get by with less sleep. Mentioned like this, Dr. David Josk, Secretary of the British Sleep Association, believes that genetically short sleepers may have some natural resistance to the effects of sleep deprivation, but it is not entirely certain why some people seem to require more and others less. So it is mentioned by Dr. David Josk. It is A. Question number 22. The quality of sleep can be measured by an individual's sleep activity. The quality of sleep can be measured by an individual's sleep activity. One summer, Dr. Peter Swoopfield traveled to the Arctic and conducted a series of research projects. All participants were required to get rid of all clocks, watches, and any other timekeeping devices and conducted work and sleep according to their own body clock. This is one part. The other part is the results were that most people slept around 10 hours per day and all participants reported feeling completely invigorated and refreshed. මේ idea එක මෙන්න මේ areas දෙකේ තමයි කියලා තියෙන්නේ by Dr. Peter Swoopfield. It is D. Next one, 23. Most people need to sleep the same number of hours. Says Josk, when we brought long and short sleepers into controlled environments, which were dark and soundproof, we found that all participants slept between 9 and 10 hours, which seemed to preclude the short sleeper category. මේක කියලා තියෙන්නේ Dr. Joske. So it is answer A. Question 24 and 25, we have choose 2 letters A to F. Write your answers in boxes 24 to 25 on your answer sheet. The list below lists some health issues associated with lack of sleep. මේකෙන් දෙකක් තෝරගන්නයි තියෙන්නේ. So let's see what are the answers. A, D and E. 24 and 25 answers are D and E. 2 of these health issues are mentioned by the writer. Our answers are D and E. Depression and problems with mental state. Let's see from where we have got this answer. The participants emerged from the experiment in a depressed-like state after 4 days. Grimstead reported that participants had depression and mood scores similar to people with clinical depression. A reduction in certain performance tasks was also noted. Depression and problems with mental state. So it's mentioned here. Our answers are D and E. Question number 26. Choose the correct letter A to E. Now this is like multiple choice. And then we have part 3. 26, our answer is B. Which of the following is the most suitable title for reading passage 2? Suitable title. Studies in sleep. Let's see. The passage mentions studies about all sides of sleep. such as lack of sleep, the quality of sleep, short sleepers, and so on. මේ passage එකේ මේ තුන ගැන තමයි කතා වෙන්නේ. The information such as the importance of sleep, the effect of sleep, how much sleep we need, also mentioned in the passage. However, they are only in 1 or 2 paragraphs. Thus, the answer is B. Passage number 3, section 3. Question 27 to 40th. 27 to 29, we have 2 multiple choice questions. And then 30 to 34, sentence completion questions. Complete each sentence with the correct ending. They have given answers, so you have to tally it. (27) As a method of obtaining fresh water, fog, answer D, is not easy to collect. Unfortunately, due to its need for a combination of several factors, fog is not readily available. Fog කියලා කියන්නේ මීදුම වගේ. Fog is not readily available, so it is not easy to collect. D. 28. Small scale greenhouse effect, desalination. Answer C. Uses very little energy. The greenhouse effect has been one way to desalinate seawater, whereby the salt in the water is separated from the water through a process of evaporation. ඒ කියන්නේ වාෂ්පීකරණය. As part of the process, water vapor forms on large panes of glass at outside air temperature and is transported via gravity into drums. This method yields only a few cubic meters per day of fresh water, but is surprisingly energy efficient. This is the place we have got the answer C. 29. One of the largest stores of fresh water in the world is groundwater. C. Groundwater is also a big contributor to the world's freshwater supplies, amounting to an estimated 10.5 million kilometers. One of the largest. එතකොට මෙතන කියනවා big contributor. So your answer is groundwater. 30th, turning salt water into drinking water. Answer B, is being tried via an evaporation process. In parts of Senegal, the example greenhouse effect has been one way to desalinate seawater, whereby the salt in the water is separated from the water through a process of evaporation. Answer B. 31. Large-scale freshwater production through evaporation, C, is not energy efficient. In larger scale production, however, the energy efficiency plummets. Is not energy efficient. Here it's mentioned energy efficiency plummets. Answer C. 32. Water available in the atmosphere. Water available in the atmosphere, E, is made up of both clouds and water vapor. Is made up of both clouds and water vapor. The atmosphere, for example, contains vast amounts of fresh water composed of 2% condensed water in the form of clouds and 90% water vapor. Both clouds and water vapor. It's mentioned here, clouds and water vapor. So your answer is E. 33. The use of dew as a water source. Dew කියලා කියන්නේ ඔර පිනි බිඳු දෙට තියෙන like that. A, is quite popular due to it not being too affected by temperature and location. Is quite popular due to it not being too affected by temperature and location. Dew, however, appears far more frequently and is less subject to the constraints of climate and geography. Climate වෙනුවට අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් temperature, location, geography. So answer A. Question number 34. The amount of water collected from dew is increased when temperatures fall rapidly. When the temperature is lowered, fall rapidly, lowered, අඩු වෙනවා. Over a short space of time, by 10 degrees or so, the water harvesting possibilities from the air yield an amazing 10 grams of water from each cubic meter of air. Significant drops in air temperature make for greater yields. Significant drops in air temperature, temperatures fall, greater yields rapidly. Question number 35 to 40, we have true, false, not given questions. 35. The amount of water consumed by wealthier countries is just as much as poorer countries. Wealthier countries වල අය consume means පරිභෝජනය. වතුර use කරන ප්‍රමාණය poorer countries වලටත් සමානයිලු. Current figures show that an inhabitant of a wealthy modern town consumes 100 to 400 liters of water daily. In some developing countries, the amount of water consumed does not exceed 20 to 30 liters per day. Directly, it contradicts with this idea. මේ idea එකට සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම වෙනස් idea එකක් තමයි මෙතනින් කියන්නේ. So your answer should be false. 36. Glaciers, rivers, artesian wells, and groundwater are all sources of fresh water. All sources of fresh water. These are the places we can tell that this is wrong. The world's freshwater supplies are drawn from a number of sources. The largest cache of the estimated 35 million kilometers freshwater reserve is located in glaciers and snow. Groundwater is also a big contributor to the world's fresh water. Artisan wells, rivers and lakes only account for about 0.1 and 0.5 million kilometers respectively. So in the passage, fresh water is located in glaciers, snow, groundwater, artisan wells, rivers and lakes. Not only glaciers, rivers, artisan wells and groundwater. Thus the answer is false. 37. Large bodies of water such as the sea have yielded the most fresh water. The largest cache of the estimated 35 million kilometers freshwater reserve is located in glaciers and snow. මෙතන කියන්නේ ocean කියලා, මෙතන කියන්නේ glaciers and snow. So it is false. 38. The collection of water through the use of fog nets is becoming increasingly more popular around the world. Something like this is not mentioned anywhere. මේ වගේ දෙයක් කොහෙවත් සඳහන් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So it is not given. 39. If the sky is cloudy, dew will not form. In order for dew to form, there needs to be some humidity in the air and a reasonably clear sky. If the sky is cloudy, dew will not form. මෙතන කියනවා clear sky එකක් තියෙනවා නම් තමයි dew වලට form වෙන්න ලේසි කියලා. So the same idea, it is true. 40th, dew and fog are major sources of water in smaller villages and isolated areas. Something like this is not mentioned anywhere, so it is not given. With that note, I'm moving on to our listening paper. Question 1 to 10. We have a note completion question. This one. This is one word and or a number. Car rental inquiry. Question 1 to 10. Example is given here. I'm an American and will be going on a family holiday to your city from Ohio next month. Question number 1. I'm Caroline, that's Caroline, and my telephone number is 041965700156. This is the answer for first one. If anyone is having problem with these names, spellings and numbers, I have a separate video. Please ask it from me after the class. I will send that video lesson. So you can follow that and this problem will be sorted. Question number 2 is email all right or should I send it by post? The later. Later කියන්නේ දෙවනියට කියපු එක. Third one. Taking your budget into consideration, which is of good value and will cost you $39 per day. Question number 4. But there are 3 of us, my mom, daughter and me. So can we add another bed? Question number 5. For the facilities, I think a kitchen is the most important. The mamme gattu tana pennanne. I hope you must have marked your answers. මේකේ යට දීලා තියෙන answers ටික මේවා ටික ඔයගොල්ලෝ mark කරගෙන ඇති කියලා මම හිතනවා. So that's why I'm sharing the place we have got the answer. Question number 6. Well, I need to have a heater. 7. In case it will be cold at night and a microwave, of course. Heater and a microwave. Question number 8. Oh, I'm afraid we'd better be picked up from the airport. 9. Well, that would be me, Caroline, and I'm 49 years old. 10. I have got a license in America, but I have also got one in Australia, which is still valid. Is it better for me to register the local one from your country? Section 2. This is a flowchart completion question. Question 11 to 16. Flowchart means මේ වගේ අර ඊතල ගහලා තියෙන ඒවා මේව මම වෙනමම ක්ලාස් එකේදී ඩිස්කස් කරනවා. හරි? Question number 11. This is when the beans are harvested and then the bags holding them are ready to be transported. Question number 12. Once the beans are unloaded from the railroad cars, the packages are opened and then weighed by machines. Question number 13. On arrival at the factory, the cocoa beans are sorted and put in a hopper to be cleaned more rigorously. 14. During the roasting process, the beans will be expanded and cracked. 15. Now back to what I was saying. After the beans are cracked, they need to be cooled. 16. Then the roasted beans are sealed in pockets. Question number 17 to 20th. What does each type of coffee taste like? Write the correct letter A to D next to questions 17 to 20th. Types of coffee and their taste. 17. And is popular for its special mild taste. Murdu rahak tiyenne. 18. They are strictly hard beans with a smoky flavor and are slightly acidic. 19. A bit of chocolate. 20th one. And finally, espresso smoky. That is coffee brewed by forcing a small amount of nearly boiling water under pressure through finely ground coffee beans. Sorry about the interruption. Product connection lost now. So 20th one, and has crema on top. As a result of the pressurized brewing process, the flavors and chemicals in a typical cup of espresso are very concentrated. And section 3, we have 21, 22, 23, 24, 5, 6 as multiple choice questions. 21, this is the place we have got the correct answer. Fossils of dinosaurs which we used to study are large in number, but not many of those of moa remain, though both animals appeal to people today. 22, and they are the only wingless birds, lacking even the vestigial wings and substantial tail bones in their family. Question number 23. The chicks would be well developed upon hatching and probably would be able to leave the nests to feed on their own almost immediately. 24. I have heard that the male moa. Can someone confirm me if you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. "24. I have heard that the male moa are thought to have incubated the eggs. Is that true?" 24. I think there is a possibility for that. Question number 25. I'm not amazed by that, since that kind of thing has been claimed several times, but I find it funny. Question number 26. Then the Maori arrived sometime before CE 1300, and all Moa genera were soon driven to extinction by hunting. මම මේ පෙන්නන්නේ ආන්සර් එක ගත්තු තැන. ඔයගොල්ලෝ මාක් කරගෙන ඇති කියලා මම හිතනවා correct answers. Question number 27 to 30th. Choose 4 answers from the box and write the correct letter A to F. Next two questions, 27 to 30th. The much taller female, less fossils left, the biggest eggs, feeding at night, better vocal sound, poor eyesight. We have 27th to 30th. 27th. And the second tallest of the 9 moa species is the North Island giant moa, with the females being markedly larger than males both in weight and height. 28. I know the crested moa. The eggs they laid may be larger than others. As they mainly lived in the remote interior of the southern island, their fossils are rare or absent in archaeological sites, and no egg remains have yet been identified. 29. A considerable amount of remains of the stout-legged moa exist. Stout-legged කියලා කියන්නේ පොඩි කොට කකුල් තියනවා කියන එක. Due to the well-preserved properties of their habitat. Their skulls reveal relatively bad vision, a good sense of smell, and a very short bill. Question number 30th. Then there is the eastern moa. They were remarkable in having very long and narrow windpipes, which probably enabled them to make louder, more resonant calls than those of other moa. Section 4, question 31 to 35, we have a note completion. (31) Prehistoric people first recorded time according to the sun's position. To start off, let us take noon, which is when the sun is on the meridian at the highest point of its course across the heavens, and when it casts the shortest shadow. But this measurement, which was regarded as a major one in ancient times, was less important than the natural events that occurred. 32. During the course of the year, there were many other events that indicated significant changes in the environment: seasonal winds and rains, the flooding of rivers, the flowering of trees and plants, and the breeding cycles or migration of animals. 33. Apart from the connection with religion. 34. Accurate time measurement was also related to the government. 35. It was found that the earliest ancient timekeepers were mainly invented and used in Mesopotamia, where the water clock was introduced from, as well as in North Africa. Question number 36 to 40th, we have a table completion. 36. However, it was quickly noted that the length of the day varied at different times of the year. 37. The water flow still depended on the variation of pressure and temperature from the top of water in the container. 38. As the technology of glass blowing developed from some time in the 40th century, it became possible to make sand glasses. 39. The drawback, however, as you can imagine, was the limited length of time they could measure. 40th, the droughts and the variable quality of the wax mainly influenced the time of burning. Speaking, we have part 1, do you like traveling? So if you get a question like this, for part 1, at least you should answer like this much. මේ වගේ ප්‍රමාණයක් sentences දෙකක් තුනක් වගේ answer කරන්න ඕනේ. Now today I will discuss some tips about do's and don'ts for speaking. Yes, definitely. I think seeing the world from great historical monuments to white sandy beaches is what life is all about. It's a very interesting way to learn about new cultures and explore new places. What is your favorite type of holiday? I really like going to the countryside, getting away from it all. Nothing relaxes me as much as wilderness. ඒ කියන්නේ කැල වගේ පැති. I'm tired of tourist traps and usually go off the beaten track. What do you do on holidays? I prefer visiting various museums and places of interest. For instance, on my last vacation, I was to Rome and I visited 12 museums. It was fantastic. Of course, sometimes I go shopping with my friends or relatives too, but I don't find it near as exciting. Are there many tourists visiting your country? Probably yes. My country has different tourist attractions in many cities, especially the capital. For example, my country has all-time religious traditions. That's why we have a lot of ancient cathedrals and churches that are interesting for both tourists and local citizens. Part 2, we have like this. Describe a tourist attraction once visited. You should say when you visited, where it is situated, who you went with. මේ වගේ question එකක්, the first thing you have to pay attention is the tense. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම past tense වලින් ඔයා කතා කරන්න ඕනේ. Okay. මම මේකට එච්චරම දිගට answers දෙන්නේ නැහැ, but this is how you should answer for about 1 or 2 minutes. A couple of years ago, I went on a holiday to Paris with my parents. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මේ 3 mark වෙන්න ඕන. When you visited it, I have marked as couple of years ago. Where it is situated, Paris. Who you went with? My parents. පළවෙනි sentence එකෙන්ම මම මේ question තුනම cover කෙරුවා. It is a very popular tourist destination since it has various places of interest, such as ancient museums and monuments. මේ වගේ examples අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම දෙන්න ඕනේ. That's why there are always hordes of tourists. The language, hordes of tourists. We call it collective nouns. Team of tourists කියලා අපි කියන්නේ නැහැ. Hordes of tourists. එක එක වර්ගවල ආයත අපි use කරන වෙන වෙන වචන තියෙනවා. So we call it collective nouns. So for lions we tell pride of lion. ඒ වගේ special language එකක් use කරන්න ඔයාගේ proficiency එක හොඳයි. So make sure you follow all those stuff. So we decided to go out of season in the autumn. Fortunately, the weather was great and we did not waste any days watching TV at the hotel. It was a memorable holiday. We enjoyed breathtaking views from the top of the Eiffel Tower and dined in cozy little restaurants. I would certainly recommend visiting Paris. It is a picturesque city. Part 3 එකේ ඔයගලන්ගෙන් questions අහන්නේ part 2 එක base කරලා. Why do you think tourism is so developed now? Well, මේ වගේ එකක well කියලා පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Because it is a lot easier to travel nowadays. You can choose charter flights and find various youth hostels all around the world, so you don't need to spend much money on the traveling. Moreover, you can book a trip via the internet, so you don't even have to leave home. Next one, how people choose their destination. There are a lot of ways. For instance, you can surf the internet for all the necessary information, or you can visit different travel agencies for more advice. What kind of transport do you prefer on holidays and why? It depends. I usually reach my holiday destination by plane because it is the fastest and the least dangerous way to travel. However, flying can be a bit uncomfortable. So I also travel by train from time to time. But I never drive car on a vacation because I do it every day when I work. I would have a busman's holiday otherwise. Busman's holiday means a business trip or something like that. Do you prefer traveling alone or in tour groups and why? I definitely prefer traveling alone because I like to plan the trip by myself. The මේ වගේ valid reason එකක් දෙන්න ඕන. Why කියලා ඇහුවොත්. When choosing a guided tour, you should always conform to a set schedule. So if you are in India and say you want to spend an extra hour at Taj Mahal, you simply cannot do that with a group tour. I like independent travel. That way, I get to see and do exactly what I want and spend as much time as I want at various stops. Essay, governments should spend more money on education than on recreation and sports. Do you agree or disagree? Make a agree disagree type question එකක්. හැම වෙලාවෙම essays වලට you have to follow the structure. essays ලියද්දි මම කිව්වා මම types පහක් උගන්වනවා. ඒ පහට වෙන වෙන structures පහක් තියෙනවා. හරි? So make sure that you follow that structure when you are writing essays. දැන් මම අද මේ කියලා දෙන්නේ model answer එකක්. So after we do the lesson for agree disagree, you can write this essay again. Making අදහස් අරගෙන you can write this again. Let's see. Now first is our introduction. It is argued that සාමාන්‍ය මේ වගේ essay එකක් මෙහෙම පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. It is argued that countries should allocate more funds to education than to leisure and competitive games. It is argued that national budgets, ඒ කියන්නේ government එකෙන් වෙන් කරන සල්ලි කියන එක වෙනුවට අපිට මෙහෙම ලියන්න පුළුවන්. National budget should prioritize schools and universities education වෙනුවට schools and universities over sports and play. First, I will discuss the economic benefits that education can bring to a nation, and secondly, the social benefits it has. දැන් අපි මෙතන කතා කරන්නේ prioritize කරන්න ඕන අනිවාර්යෙන්ම education පැත්ත කියන එක. So we are giving answers for that. This is our body paragraph 1. මුලින්ම කතා කරන්නේ economic background එක ගැන. Investment in its education system is one of the best ways to improve a country's economy in the long term. දීර්ඝකාලීන වශයෙන්. The more students entering third level education, තෘතීක අධ්‍යාපනය, which means university education. මේකට අපි tertiary education කියලා කියනවා. The more skilled workforce. Skilled workforce means those who are working. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම මේ රට යන්න plan කරන අයනේ. So you know the meaning of skilled migrants. Skill migration, that means you have proper education background and then you are working as a professional. You call it skilled workforce. Will be, and this leads to higher innovation and productivity. For example, South Korea and Finland took the decision to invest. The may atham example එක. So when you are writing, if you do not know real example, you can write always write lies. බොරු ලියන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. හැබැයි මේ වගේ specific information දෙන්න එපා. A famous country කියලා ලියන්න. Do not mention the name of the country or the book or magazine or whatever. Took the decision to invest a large proportion of their budget in education, and this has reaped benefits in the form of high-tech companies such as Samsung and Nokia. However, people cannot work hard all the time, and these companies do provide leisure facilities for their workers. ඊළඟට අපේ sentence body paragraph 2. Here we talk about the social benefit part. සමාජමය වටිනාකම් පැත්ත. Education is not just about improving the economy. It also has many social benefits. Well-educated people tend to be more aware of social evils such as drugs, alcohol, and sexual health. For example, Singapore educates all of its citizens on the dangers of drugs, and this has resulted in one of the lowest levels of drug abuse in the world. Despite this, sports can also teach children valuable soft skills such as teamwork and work ethic, which also help curb social ills. So here our conclusion. In conclusion, education should take precedence over sports when it comes to funding due to the many socio-economic benefits it brings. Samaja Arthikamaya Pratilabha, socio-economic benefits. It is recommended that governments continue to pump money into schools and universities in order to realize long-term goals. මේ වගේ question එකක් ආවොත් මෙහෙම answer එකක් තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලියන්න ඕනේ. Okay, so with that note, today I have completed the reading, listening, speaking, and writing task 2. If you have any questions based on these 4 modules, මේ හතරෙන් මොන හරි තැනක ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා නම් you can ask now. මම සාමාන්‍ය modules හතරම කරලා තමයි ඔයගලන්ට time එක දෙන්නේ ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් අනිත් අයට ඒක පොඩි බාධාවක් වෙනවා. So that's why I give time after the 4 modules. If you have any questions based on these 4, you can ask now. මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා නම් දැන් අහන්න පුළුවන්. ගොඩක් අය message කරනවා හෙට වැඩට යන්න ඕන කියලා. Sorry, හෙට වැඩ මේ හෙට මේ මොනවාද ඉක්මනට ඉවර කරන්න කියන එක. So ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා නම් ඉක්මනට අහන්න. අපි තව දෙකක් we have 2 more segments, reading tips and speaking revision. Okay, seems like no one is having any questions. So I'm moving on to our reading tips part. Hari. The format of the IELTS reading test. ඔයාලගේ reading test එකේ format එක ගැන කතා කරුවොත් you have your time duration is 60 minutes. පැයක් හම්බෙනවා you have 40 questions. මේක general academic දෙගොල්ලන්ටම එකයි. හරි? You have 40 questions. You have to do it within 1 hour. Reading texts. There are two versions of the reading test, academic and general. The difference between them is in the length and type of text, which has 3 sections. Question types. ඔයගලන්ට මෙතනදී academic අයට general අයටයි හම්බෙන texts වෙනස්. Academic people will get more over into research and academic type texts, whereas general people will be getting day-to-day and natural and those type of general texts. Question types. In the IELTS reading test, you will be asked a variety of different types of questions in order to test a wide range of reading skills. Each text will have 3 to 4 different types of questions from this list. Making සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපිට normally එන question types තමයි මේ තියන්නේ. මේකෙන් එක section එකකට 3ක් නැත්නම් 4ක් උපරිම ඔයගලන්ට එනවා. We have matching headings, multiple choice, short answers, name matching, true false not given, yes no not given, summary completion, matching sentence endings, sentence completion, table completion, matching information, and diagram labeling. Marking scheme. How you are getting your marks. Each correct answer is awarded 1 mark. හැම හරි answer එකකටම 1 mark එක ගන්න ඔයාලට ලැබෙනවා. Your score out of 40 is converted to the corresponding IELTS band scale level using a conversion table. මෙන්න මේ විදිහට තමයි ඔයගලන්ට band score එක ලැබෙන්නේ. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් 6.5 වගේ ගන්නවා නම් you should have 27 to 29 correct answers. 30 to 32 7, 33 to 34 7.5 may academic, okay? 35 to 36 8, 37 to 38 8.5, 39 to 40 9. General 32 to 33 6.5, 34 to 35 7, 36 7.5, 37 to 38 8, 39 8.5 and 40 9. Important. මේ ටික අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම වැදගත්. If you spell the answer incorrectly, you won't get the mark. Spellings වැරදි නම් answer එක වැරදි. If you answer with the incorrect number of words, you won't get the mark. One word only කියලා තියෙන තැනට ඔය answers වචන දෙකක් ලියුවොත් ඔයාගේ answer එක වැරදි. Reading වලදී ඔයාගෙන් බලන skills මොනවාද? Read for gist. That means you should be able to read to get the general meaning. මොන හරි paragraph එකක දල අදහස ගන්න කියවන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. Read for main ideas. Read for detail, understanding inferences and implied meanings. Recognize writer's opinions, attitudes and purposes. Writer ගේ අදහස් අඳුර ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. Follow the development of an argument. Reading tricks and tips. Number 1, it is always paraphrased. හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න reading questions. හැම වෙලාවෙම 100% paraphrased. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාට කොයි වෙලාවකවත් same question එක විදියට paragraph එකේ හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. They will mention the same idea in another word. So you call it paraphrasing. Number 2, skimming. Skimming and scanning දෙකේ වෙනස. මේක ගොඩක් අය දන්නේ නැහැ. Skimming means reading rapidly in order to get a general overview of the material. Here is an overview. Skimming කියලා කියන්නේ paragraph එකක් ඉක්මනට උඩින් පල්ලෙන් කියවගෙන යනවා to get the general idea. දල අදහස ගන්න. Read the first paragraph attentively to get an idea of what the text is about. Pay attention to the first few sentences of every paragraph. This will give you the main idea of the text. Always read the last paragraph thoroughly as this normally contains the summary. So this is skimming. What is scanning? Scanning is reading rapidly in order to find specific facts. When you are scanning, be sure always underline important specific information and numbers. Scanning කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයා underline කරපු keyword එක paragraph එකෙන් හොයන එක. You are searching for specific information. From the question, identify the keyword and then scan the text for it and possible synonyms. This will help you find the answer more quickly. මේකෙත් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම synonyms එනවා. Point number 4. Focus on the ideas, not the word. හැම වෙලාවෙම question එකක idea එක ඔළුවට ගන්න, word ඔළුවට ගන්න එපා. If there are proper nouns, you should underline them, that is true. But take the idea to your head, then it will be easy for you to find it in the text. Test different exam strategies, then choose a winner. සමහර questions වලට මම දැන් ඔයගලන්ට උගන්වනවා types දෙකක් තියෙනවා, strategy 1 and strategy 2. So you should try both. ඒ වගේ ඒවා තියෙනකොට දෙකම try කරලා ඔයාට ගැලපෙන එක ඔයා තෝරගන්න ඕනේ. Try reading exam strategy. Now this I will teach one by one. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම strategy එකක් follow කරන්නම ඕනේ. Find proof in the text, underline and number. Find the exact location of the rephrased answer in the reading passage. Compare it to the keywords in your answer and rest assured that it is the one. That is the proof. Then underline that rephrased line in the passage. Then write the number on top of the question that is answered by that line. 8.1. Don't panic. Don't panic over unknown words. Use context. දන්නේ නැති වචන තිබුණොත් reading වල panic වෙන්න එපා. කලබල වෙන්න එපා. Context use කරන්න. Try to look around the new word. Maybe the content of the sentence. Can you deduce whether it's positive or negative? තුන්දෙනෙක් message කරනවා හෙට වැඩ කියලා. I don't know because tomorrow is a poor day. But I'm doing the lessons. ඔයගලන්ට මේක අද දැන් මේ ඉතුරු ටිකට ඉන්න බැරි නම් follow the recording. Maybe the content of the sentence can help you deduce whether it's positive or negative, a person or a job, an animal or a feature. Prefixes can help. Un means cancel an action. Re means repeat. Or vice means referring to something. මෙන්න මේ වගේ ideas ගන්න පුළුවන් තැන් මම වෙන වෙනම උගන්වනවා. අද මේ දැන් කෙටියෙන් කියලා දෙන්නේ. Grammar will also help. If it comes before a noun, it might be describing how this noun is. 9. Don't leave any question unanswered. උත්තරයක් හොයාගන්න බැරි වුණත් කොයි වෙලාවකවත් හිස් තැනක් තියන්න එපා. Try to write something. 10. Improve your reading speed. හැම වෙලාවෙම ඔයාගේ reading speed එක හදාගන්න try කරන්න. Skimming speed එක මේක කරන්න පුළුවන් එක විදියක් මම කියලා දෙනවා. Increase your reading gaze to include 3 words at a time. මේක කරන්න පුළුවන් එක ක්‍රමයක්. කියවනකොට වචනෙන් වචනේ කියවන්න නැතුව එකපාර 3ක් දිහා බලන්න. Increase your reading කියනවට වඩා increase your reading එකපාර මේ තුනම බලන්න. ඊට පස්සේ මේ තුන බලන්න. ඊට පස්සේ මේ තුන. Like that. ඔය විදියට බලන්න හුරු වෙන්න දැන් ගිය batch එකක ළමයෙක්ට එයා 5 වෙනකන් ඔක improve කරා. He could read up to 5 words at once. ඕක එක ක්‍රමයක් ඔයාගේ reading speed එක හදාගන්න පුළුවන්. Catch 3 at a time and aim to expand it about 5 words in each class. Use a pointer to increase speed. The pointer will land between every 3 words. පෑනක් හරි පැන්සලක් හරි අරගෙන වචන තුනෙන් තුනට මෙහෙම තිය තිය යන්න. එතකොට ටක් ගාලා ඒ තුනම ඔයා බලන්න. එකින් එක නෙමෙයි. Make sure not to sacrifice comprehension for speed. It's very easy to speed read through an article and then recall nothing. Speed එකේ sonic වගේ කියවගෙන ගියාට වැඩක් නැහැ if you do not get the meaning to your head. So make sure that you practice the speed while getting the idea to your head. Okay. I'm moving on to speaking part now. Speaking normally, you have 3 sections. It is a one-to-one interaction between the candidate and an examiner. The 3 parts give the candidate the opportunity to use a range of different speaking skills. IELTS speaking is recorded. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඔයාලගේ ස්පීකින් එකක් රෙකෝඩ් වෙනවා. UKVI කරන අයගේ වීඩියෝ රෙකෝඩ් වෙනවා. Time 11 to 14 minutes. Test format. Part 1, introduction and interview. You answer questions about yourself, your home, family, job, studies, interests and other familiar topics. Part 2, we call it independent long turn. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි මේකට cue card question turn එක කියලාත් කියනවා. You are given a topic verbally and on a card. You have minute to prepare a talk. ඒගොල්ලෝ විනාඩියක් දෙනවා. You can prepare yourself. You speak for 1 or 2 minutes on a topic. Example, a person, place, object or event. You answer 1 or 2 follow-up questions. Number 3, discussion. You answer verbal questions discussing more abstract ideas linked to the topic of part 2. Assessment criteria. මෙන්න මේ තියෙන ඔයාලට speaking වලට marks ලැබෙන 4. Fluency and coherence you have 25%. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ fluency එක. හිර වෙන්නේ නැතුව කියන්නේ නැතුව කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් හැකියාව. Lexical resources means your vocabulary. You have to use rich vocabulary, idioms, phrasal verbs එන්නේ වගේ ඒවා. මේ ඔක්කොම මම වෙනම lessons ඔයගලන්ට කරනවා. Grammatical range and accuracy. Grammar you are getting 25% and for pronunciation you are getting 25%. ගොඩක් අය school, standard එහෙම කියන්න බෑ. It should be pronounced as school. ඒකට ලකුණු අඩු වෙනවා. හරි? ඔය ලංකාවේ ගොඩක් අයට ලකුණු කැපෙන්නේ ඕකට. So make sure that you work on your pronunciation as well. Part 1. The examiner will introduce himself or herself and confirm your identity. You answer general questions about yourself, your home, your job, your interests, and a range of similar topic areas. Part 1 එකේදී do's and don'ts. Be aware of question types. අනිවාර්යෙන් මේ වගේ දේවල් වලට ඔයාලට ready වෙලා යන්න පුළුවන්. හරි? උදාහරණයක් විදිහට where do you live? What do you do? What are your hobbies? ඔය වගේ general ටිකක් තමයි සාමාන්‍ය ඕනම question එකක අහන්නේ. First answer the question, then give added information. Part 1 එකේදී හැම වෙලාවෙම question එකට direct answer කරලා then try to give some added information. මේ වලට ඔයගලන්ට marks හම්බ වෙනවා. Now example, do you have any plans for going to university? That's for sure. I'd like to major in chemical engineering. මෙන්න මේකට තමයි added information කියලා කියන්නේ. Do you like swimming? Yes, but I don't get much time to go swimming these days. In general, good answers have main and supporting ideas. I love swimming because it's so relaxing. Because කියලා කියන්නේ මේ supporting ideas. Besides, it helps me be in shape. Main idea, supporting idea 1, supporting idea 2. Use appropriate linking words. Because, besides වගේ linking words අනිවාර්යෙන් use කරන්න ඒ වලට grammar යටතේ marks ලැබෙනවා. I love swimming because it's so relaxing. Besides, it helps me be in shape. Linking word 1, linking words 2. If you can't think of a word, simply paraphrase it. Link එකනේ helping word දෙවැනි එක වෙනුවට ඔයාලට එකක් හිතා ගන්න බැරි නම් first එක paraphrase කරන්න. Like this. He is a reliable person. He is the sort of person you can always trust or depend on. She is so punctual. She is never late, always on time. Reply by offering a full and appropriate response in each case. Always add some extra information to your answer. You are unlikely to get a second chance to answer them. But don't anticipate related questions. හැම වෙලාවෙම එකම type එකේ question එකක් ඔයාලට දෙවෙනියට හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. So whenever you get a question, make sure that you are answering them properly. For example, if you are asked what your job is, a suitable answer would be මෙන්න මේ වගේ answer එකක් තමයි දෙන්න ඕන job එක ගැන ඇහුවොත්. I work for a market research company. We do market research for companies that are planning to develop new products. මේ ඇති. මෙච්චර දිගට ඕනේ නැහැ. හරි? I work for a market research company. We do market research for a companies that are planning to develop new products. My job is very demanding. It requires strong communication and interpersonal skills to get the right results. The best thing about my job is the team that I work with. My work starts at 9 a.m. and finishes at 7 p.m. Make too much. මෙච්චර කතා කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ part 1 එකට. ඒකයි මම මේ දෙකක් දීලා තියෙන්නේ. Okay, next one. How do you like your job? Tell me about your working hours. එහෙම අහුවොත් මෙන්න මේ වගේ එකක් මේ part එක තමයි ඔයාලට answer කරන්න වෙන්නේ. Okay. In order to present yourself in the best way possible, you should try to sound positive about your past, present, and future. Listen to the questions carefully and make sure you answer the question directly and to the point. යන්නේ කොහෙද මල්ලේ පොල් වෙන්න බෑ. ඔයාගේ අදහසක් ඇහුවොත් you have to talk about your idea. If they ask about what do people think, you have to talk in general terms. ඒ දෙක පටල ගන්න එපා. Always speak, relax and confidently. And these are the expressions that you can use for part 1, expressing your feelings. I'm very interested in, seems fantastic, I'm fond of, I'm keen on, I have lost interest in, that sounds like fun, would be really rewarding, a lot of fun, sounds more interesting than, is so absorbing, I find it really helpful, seems pretty difficult, is rather complicated, was rather difficult, was much more difficult in compared with, sounds kind of boring. Doesn't interest me. To be honest, I don't enjoy. Part 1 එකේදී මෙන්න මේ parts අහන්න පුළුවන්. People you know, your friends, family members, neighbors. Places you know, hometown, country, school or company. Things you like, your preferences about music, food, books, art. Things you do, your studies or occupation, your hobbies and habits. The common theme among all these topics is that they are personal and predictable. හැම වෙලාවෙම part 1 එක predictable. එන ඒවා තමයි නිතරම එන්නේ. So make sure that you prepare yourself and then go to the test. අනිත් එක, in general, most of the questions in part 1 fit into 3 categories. Part 1 එකේ questions මෙන්න මේ categories තුනේ යටතට හැම වෙලාවෙම එනවා. Do you, have you and would you? මේ තුනෙන් තමයි questions අහන්නේ. හරි? Let's see if you get a do you question. What do you do on weekends? How often do you listen to music? How do you usually watch films at home or go to the cinema? මේ වගේ do you question එකක් ඇහුවොත් always you have to answer by simple present tense. For grammar, you can score 25% if you answer like this. Try to expand your answers with reasons, examples, and comparisons. Valamu example එක. First one, what do you do on weekends? This is an example. On weekends, I like to spend time with my friends because we rarely see each other during the week. In the summer, we usually visit the beach, whereas in the winter, we like to do indoor activities like visit museums or play board games. Second one, how often do you listen to music? Generally, I only listen to music at home. For instance, when I cook dinner, since music tends to distract me at work. Third one, do you usually watch films at home or go to a cinema? Nowadays, I tend to watch movies at home due to the fact that there are so many more options available through websites like Netflix. However, I don't mind going to the cinema from time to time. මෙන්න මේ වගේ answer කරන්න simple present tense වලින්. Have you questions? Have you always enjoyed museums? Has your taste in music changed over the years? Have you ever left a theater in the middle of a film? Have you question එකක් ආවොත් ඔයා හැම වෙලාවෙම answer කරන්න ඕන present perfect tense එකෙන්. ඒක අමතක කරන්න එපා. As soon as you add time related word like always, ever or over the years. මෙන්න මේ වගේ phrases ඔයාලට දාන්න පුළුවන්. First එකට උත්තරේ. Have you always enjoyed museums? Actually, I never used to like going to museums because I usually find them dull. But a new museum opened in our city a few years ago, and the staff there have done a really good job at showing art that is easy for less artsy people like me to appreciate and understand. Second one, has your taste in music changed over the years? Yes, quite a lot. In the past, I mostly listened to pop music, but over time, I have grown to love classical music, especially composers like Beethoven and Brahms. Example එකකුත් දීලා තියෙනවා. Have you ever left a theater in the middle of a film? Only once, as far as I can remember. I walked out of a film, a really sappy romantic comedy, after only 30 minutes, but I also left because the theater was freezing cold and I have never been back there since then. Next one, would you questions. Do you have any hobbies that you can imagine doing as a job? Is there a musical instrument that you would like to learn to play? Which actor or actress would you most like to meet? මෙතන would you වෙන්න ඕන, okay? Would you එකක් ආවොත් ඔයා හැම වෙලාවෙම try කරන්න ඕන conditional tenses වලින් answer කරන්න if type. මෙන්න මේ වගේ. To be honest, I would rather keep my hobbies and my job separate because I think that I would lose interest in my passion if I had to do it for a living. මේ if conditionals වල grammar rules තියෙනවා. Make sure that you follow that. ඔයගලගේ theory classes වල මේක කරලා ඇති කියලා මම හිතනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම follow කරන්න would you එකක් ආවොත් if conditional එකකින් තමයි answer කරන්න ඕනේ. මේකට තමයි marks හම්බ වෙන්නේ. Second one, if I ever have enough money, I would love to buy a piano, one of those huge black ones that you see in symphony halls. But a small electronic keyboard would also be nice. I think it would be fun to meet Charlie Chaplin if he were still alive. Among living film stars, however, the person I would enjoy meeting the most is Dwayne Johnson. මේ වගේ හැම වෙලාවෙම example එකක් දෙන්න. Notice that these questions require fairly simple grammar. You don't need to prepare for any had or you or had when will you have. Instead, you can focus your preparation on mastering English present tenses and adding relevant reasons and examples. Part 2. ඔයගලගේ cue card question එක. The examiner will give you a topic card and then he gives you 1 minute for you to prepare, and then you have to talk about that minute for about 1 to 2 minutes at a stretch. Examiner ඔයාව එතනදී නවත්තන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයා එක දිගටම කතා කරගෙන යන්න ඕනේ. මේ question එකේ තමයි ඔයාගේ fluency එක ගොඩක් බලන්නේ. Do's and don'ts. Read the topic card carefully. Make the best use of the minute given to organize your answer. Who, what, when, where, how or why. Make questions වලට attention වැඩිපුර දෙන්න. A common criticism of some candidates is that they don't plan. You don't impress the examiner if you start immediately without planning, whatever your level is. සමහරු බක පඬිතුස්ලා මේ විනාඩිය ගන්න නැතුව එක දිගට කතා කරන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. Don't do like that. Candidates who don't take notes tend to describe the general aspect of the question rather than covering the prompts of the card and giving specific information. Don't write on the topic card. Write notes, not sentences. It may be easier to read and use your notes if you write them in a vertical list in order. Vertical කියන්නේ යටින් යට ලියා ගන්න කොලේ. හරි? Then it's easy for you to catch the answers. It is important to keep talking, but don't talk about things which aren't relevant to the topic. කිය කතා කරනවා කියලා එක දිගට අදාළ නැති දේවල් කියලා වැඩක් නැහැ. As you speak, refer to your notes to organize your answer. If your talk is not organized, you will lose marks. Remember that the IELTS test is a communication test, not a memory test. If there is something you can't remember, simply use other words and explain about it. I'm not really sure when it happened to me, but I'm sure I was very young. Is just as good as giving a date. Don't worry if you decide to change a little of what you have planned to say. Keeping your talk natural and fluent is much important than sticking rigidly to your notes. There are some ways to extend your talk. For example, talking about your preferences, comparing or contrasting with other subjects. In IELTS books, you can see a number of topic cards which are thematically the same but have different prompts. Make sure to talk about the question you are asked to talk about, not the one you have prepared. ඔයා දැන් සාමාන්‍ය මේක ගොඩක් අය කරන වැරද්දක්. Books වලින් බලලා ready වෙලා යනවනේ. ඒ ready වෙච්ච එක වෙනස් විදියට ආවොත් ඔයා ඒ වෙනස් වෙන එක නෙමෙයි කතා කරනවා ready වෙලා යන එක. ගොඩක් අයගේ speaking අඩු වෙන්න එක හේතුවක් ඕක. Don't miss out any question. Don't hesitate for too long when it is time to speak. Examine order. Now you can start. You have to start directly. These are the prompts that you can use. මුලින්ම පටන් ගද්දි. I'd like to talk about, I'd like to begin with. What I'd like to talk about is, I have chosen to talk about. What I'm going to cover is, to start with, I'm going to describe how. There are quite a lot of, but the one I have chosen is, it's quite a long story. The aspect, factor, issue I have looked at is, some phrases to talk about background details. I particularly, vividly, distinctively remember, to the best of my memory, what I most remember about him or her. I vividly recall the day I first met him. If my memory serves me well, the story goes back to the time when I was in school. It took place, happened to me, happened when I was a kid, at the age often. Is located. The town has changed somewhat dramatically since I was a child, has been going on. I have known him, I met him. She or he happened to be there. I suddenly realized. I regretted not working harder. I regretted not doing it earlier. I wish I'd read more. I wish I had not given it up. Unfortunately, I didn't keep it up. Even now, when I think of that day, I feel nostalgic. If had been more ambitious, I would have been more successful. I should have made more pragmatic decision, again practical. I was first inspired by. What impressed me most was, I was very impressed by, had a strong influence on me. What influenced me a lot was, had a profound impact on me, made an enormous impact on me, made an impression on me, strikes me as a very efficient, clever, hard-working person. What first attracted me to him or her was a big shock to me, profoundly affected by my life. Had a lasting effect on me, changed the way I look at things. One of the most interesting thing about him or her was, I find, it was such a great experience, was an unforgettable experience, was truly a memorable occasion. It was so enjoyable. It was a pleasurable experience. It was such a sweet memory. Then ඉස්සරහට එන ඒ වලටත් questions වලට මේවා use කරන්න. හරි? I was so happy on the top of the world. I was extremely happy and excited, over the moon, very happy. The interesting point was, the thing I liked about, the reason why I like or dislike, that appeals to people of all ages. One thing I'd be enthusiastic about, unandua, I'm still proud of. Of course, sounds like a great idea. has been my proudest possession. I could not believe my ear. Was completely unexpected. It was as surprising. Has never appealed to me. I find it so boring, so tedious, so boring. One thing I'd be worried about, totally different, slightly different, very similar. The reason why, my first reason why another reason behind my decision, I had always been attracted by the idea, the best or worst thing about, what strikes, impresses, delights visitors. Without doubt, සැකයකින් තොරව, the most interesting thing. In my country, it's the custom. During this process, afterward, eventually, use a number of adjectives to describe the situation. මෙන්න මේ වගේ adjectives ගොඩක් use කරන්න පුළුවන්. Situation එකක් ගැන කියද්දි. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම speaking වලදී වැඩිපුර adjectives use කරන්න ඒක හරිම වැදගත්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකට ඔයාගේ language proficiency එක හොඳට sharp වෙනවා. Lexical resources, I told you, you can score more marks if you use lot of adjectives. It was exciting, thrilling, interesting, pleasing, fascinating, amazing, absorbing, enticing, appealing, amusing, entertaining, relaxing, refreshing, embarrassing, soothing, breathtaking, astonishing, rewarding, deserving, satisfying, fulfilling, promising, challenging. It was boring, tiring, exhausting, confusing, puzzling, perplexing, worrying, frustrating, embarrassing, depressing. මේ ඔක්කොම use කරන්න පුළුවන් ඕගලන්ට. හරි? මේ PDF එක මම අද share කරනවා. Take a print out and keep it and go through these phrases very well. Disappointing, annoying, disturbing, irritating, distracting, disgusting, tempting. මේ එකක් හරි pronounce කරන විදිය දන්නේ නැත්නම් Google ගිහිල්ලා ගහන්න how to pronounce කියලා word එක ගහන්න. එතකොට හරියටම pronounce කරන විදිය එනවා. Guess කරලා pronounce කරන්න යන්න එපා. You will lose marks. Make your talk as lively as possible. මලමිනි වගේ ඉන්න එපා. Try to be friendly. Try to relax and tell your interviewer as much interesting information you can. Don't be afraid to use humor. පොඩි විහිළුවක් කරුවට කමක් නැහැ. Don't worry if the examiner doesn't look at you. සමහර අය ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා ළමයි අනේ මිස් එක්සැමිනර් මගේ දිහා බැලුවෙම නැහැ කොලේ දිහාමයි බලන් හිටියේ මම ඔහේ ඉතින් කියාගෙන ගියා මට බය හිතුණා. Don't worry. He is listening to you. He is taking notes but he is paying attention to what you are talking. Practice speaking with a watch and get an idea of how long 2 minutes is and approximately how much content you need to cover the task. අනිවාර්යෙන් cue card questions ගෙදරදී practice කරද්දී watch එකකින් practice කරන්න. කන්නඩියක් ඉස්සරහට ගිහිල්ලා. විනාඩි දෙකක් ඇතුළත ඔයා කොච්චර කතා කරන්න ඕනද කියන එක ඔයාට එතකොට හුරු වෙනවා. හරි? Next one, part 3. Discussion 4 to 5 minutes. The examiner will invite you to discuss a number of issues broadly related to theme to the part 2. The questions will increase in difficulty slightly as this part of the test progresses. Do's and don'ts. Remember, there is no right or wrong answer. Speaking wala hari answers, වැරදි answers කියලා නැහැ. You can talk about anything that you like. Try to give informed, interesting and appropriate responses to the examiner's prompts. Try to have a clear understanding of the question. Don't worry if you can't think of a word. You can paraphrase and get around it. මේක මම කලිනුත් කිව්වා. Be willing to give extended responses. ඒ කියන්නේ ටිකක් දිගට කතා කරුවට කමක් නැහැ. Part 3 නිසා. Try to write at least 3 to 4 sentences for each question. Show your ability by expressing abstract ideas, support your opinion, point out both positive and negative aspects and speculate about the future. Part 3 එකේ ටිකක් බාර කරලා කතා කරුවට කමක් නැහැ because this is part 3. Part 1 they will ask about simple things but in part 3 they will ask about some profound things. Listen carefully which word to address and build your answer around. Now for an example මේක බලන්න. What are the benefits of vegetarianism? Obviously, you need to speak about the benefits. Use a paraphrase or synonym when answering. Then, what are the benefits of vegetarianism? Vegetarianism කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා කතා කරන්න එපා. They are asking about the benefits. Use appropriate introductory phrases. You can give an opinion without using an opening clause, but it will sound very direct. To soften your responses, it is better to start with an expression such as, personally, I think, in my opinion, to my mind, මෙන්න මේ වගේ වචන දාලා කතා කරන්න. Part 3. If you are asked to talk a subject you have never thought about, the most important thing is not to panic. අහලම නැති දෙයක් ගැන අහුවොත් panic වෙන්න එපා. And do not ever say I don't know, I have no idea. එහෙම කියන්න යන්න එපා. හරි? Then for an example, what I'm trying to say is, I'm not sure, you could say, but I'm fairly certain that. Well, there's a 50-50 chance of. Generally speaking, broadly speaking, personally speaking, metaphorically speaking, practically speaking, relatively speaking, simply speaking, technically speaking, roughly speaking, to put it more simply, to be more exact, to put it more accurate, to be honest, realistic. I have different views about. I don't foresee any problems in the future. It's almost impossible to predict what will happen. The consequences of are enormous. Well, it's difficult to say, but in my experience, it's a difficult issue. I think it's a complicated issue. Well, it's hard to say. That's an interesting point I think I would have to say. Beyond any doubt, it's hard to say. To be honest, perhaps I should make that clear by saying, let me illustrate my point. I'm no expert, but I think if you ask me, there is no simple solution. It's reasonable to say the truth as a matter of fact. In fact, it's a matter of the greatest importance. In fact, there are many different opinions. Well, people have got mixed feelings. Another justification, another reason, another point. To my mind, I think it's justifiable. I think it depends. I think it would be pointless. I think it's worth. There are lots of advantages. Actually, there is a lot of controversy about. ගැටලුවක්. I think this issue continues. It's such a controversial issue. ගැටලුකාරී. It's an issue with lots of pros and cons. Pros and cons means advantages and disadvantages. මේ වචන දෙක නිතරම අපිට හම්බ වෙනවා. So you should know the meaning. Pros means advantages, cons means disadvantages. The effects can be both positive and negative. I think the benefits of, you can look at this issue, basically, I can see both sides. It's hard to predict. It's impossible to foresee, I think. Banned, outlawed, prohibited, then smoking වගේ අහුවොත් you can talk these words. Prohibited, forbidden, prevented, limited, restricted. I think should be supported, promoted, encouraged. In a word, to recap, I should say, to sum up, I should mention. When you are asked a how question, how කියලා ඇහුවොත්, you can use an adverb of degree to express your opinion. How කියලා ඇහුවොත් adverb of degree එකක් use කරන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම. How important is to have a regular fitness program? I think it is highly, incredibly important. When you are asked for your opinion on a subject, you can avoid sounding too dogmatic by using suitable linking words. Although, admittedly, despite, ඔයාගේ අදහසක් ඇහුවොත් මෙන්න මේ වගේ වචන use කරන්න පුළුවන්. Although computers are very useful in everyday life, I think we rely too heavily on them. Admittedly, it's hard to learn, but it's worth trying. If you don't know much about a topic, talk about something related to that topic, then explain the connection. This is not ideal, but better than saying nothing at all. For an example, they are asking about computer networking. So talk about general computing. Mega ideal නෑ හැබැයි හරි හැබැයි මුකුත් නොකිය ඉන්නවට වඩා that's better. දන්නේම නැති දෙයක් ගැන අහුවොත් ඒකට සමාන general topic එකක් ගැන හරි කතා කරන්න. Do not avoid it. Don't never say I don't know, I have no idea. එහෙම කොයි වෙලාවකවත් කියන්න එපා. All right. So that is the end of today's day one session. If you have any questions based on today's reading part and the speaking part, you can ask now or you can leave the class. And I shall see you all again on Sunday at 9 o'clock. Your classes will be held Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday at 9 o'clock. Okay, so seems like no one is having any questions. So let's finish that session. I will send the recording in another half an hour's time. So good night, everyone.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night.
Good night.